You get the binder?
I had to put it in Todd's binder, but he's middle, new and new. So. Hi, Kaylee.
Let me just check to see if we're live.
Oh, yeah. Cheers. Don't lean back, noted. Jeez, yeah.
We are live.
Yes.
Call a meeting to order, Wednesday, September 20th, 2023, time 5:30. Hammond City Chambers. Roll call. Michelle.
Todd DeLon, John Exnicius,
Here.
Elizabeth Hollywood,
Here.
Chelsea Kesnick,
Here.
Kaylee Norton,
Here.
Cassie Reagan,
Here.
Evan Singer.
Here.
All right, first thing on the agenda, old business, approval of July 2023 financial report.
So this was back on the agenda because last time there were some unfinalized numbers. Laura and Cindy said that they touched base and the report in here is updated from last meeting.
Yeah, and I think we did discuss it, but I think we didn't have a quorum to approve the July stuff because I was.
Oh, yeah,
so
the
that's why
minutes.
the minutes and the financials are back up here, I think.
Unless anybody has any issues, I move we approve the July 2023 financial report.
I'll second.
Todd DeLon, John Exnicius,
Yes.
Elizabeth Hollywood,
Yes.
Chelsea Kesnick,
Yes.
Kaylee Norton,
Yes.
Cassie Reagan,
Yes.
Evan Singer.
Yes.
Gotta turn this volume down because I can hear us. One second. Okay, there we go.
Next thing up would be approval of the August 2023 financial report.
Michelle, is there anything?
You'll notice more expenses on page 2 to reflect hot August expenses. And we also haven't gotten our influx of checks from the sheriff's office yet, so you'll see that revenue is a bit low. But they are usually doing some of their end-of-year reporting right about now, and we get our larger checks at the end of the year and beginning of the year. So with the switch of the fiscal year, they're on a calendar year, we're on a fiscal year, so whenever I reviewed it earlier, I noticed it was a bit low, but that's kind of the reason why.
I make a motion we approve.
Second.
Todd DeLon, John Exnicius,
Yes.
Elizabeth Hollywood,
Yes.
Chelsea Kesnick,
Yes.
Kaylee Norton,
Yes.
Cassie Reagan,
Yes.
Evan Singer.
Yes.
Next, approval of meeting minutes from July 18th, 2023.
I think this one we couldn't vote on at the last meeting, again, because we didn't have a quorum and that we reviewed it, actually. So I move that we approve the minutes from the July 19, 2023 meeting.
Second.
Todd DeLon, John Exnicius.
Yes.
Elizabeth Hollywood,
Abstain.
Chelsea Kesnick,
Yes.
Kaylee Norton,
Yes.
Cassie Reagan,
Yes.
Evan Singer.
Yes.
All right, approval of meeting minutes from August 16th, 2023.
I'll make the motion to approve the August meeting minutes.
Well, I think we don't have a quorum because
Do we
they
not?
were absent,
Yeah.
all three of them.
Yeah. Wait,
Oh, so
so we need
John,
4.
Chelsea, and Kaylee can't vote.
So we need, and we're gonna need 4 to.
So we would need
Yeah, we were in the same position we were in last time. That's okay, we'll get caught up.
Yeah. I'll make a motion to table. I guess, do we need to make it? Probably.
Yeah, we can table, yeah.
Yeah, to table them
Alright,
to the next
second.
meeting.
Todd DeLon, John Exnicius,
Yes.
Elizabeth Hollywood.
Yes.
Chelsea Kesnick,
Yes.
Kaylee Norton.
Yes.
Cassie Reagan,
Yes.
Evan Singer.
Yes.
New business is to approve the loan for Luma Coffee Roasters.
Yes.
Okay.
So what you have in your packet is basically their revised application and the loan recommendation that we have come up with. We have reviewed, I guess this is the second time we're looking at their application, and with reviewing some of their financials and their data, ultimately found that was probably in their best interest and our best interest to offer the 25,000 unsecured loan to them for their business expansion. We are abiding by our policies to have the rate 2 points below the prime rate, effective on the closing date, so you can see what that number would be looking like now. And the product is a 3-year loan term. Evan, I don't know if you have anything else to add to it?
No, I mean, I think we talked about this in a prior meeting. Part of their $75,000 request included the pledge of collateral, which was pledged to other creditors, so that's not really an option for them. So we tried to find another solution that would still help them expand and that's still within their ability to repay, which this is.
And they've basically scaled their project a little bit to reflect the new loan amount. They'll be kind of looking at some equipment acquisition later down the line as they get established, and then they'll be handling the build out. So they're confident that they're able to execute their vision on this budget, and hope that we will help them with it.
And y'all have gone over this with them, and okay. Then I move we approve the loan application for Luna Coffee Roasters.
I'll second.
Todd DeLon, John Exnicius,
Yes.
Elizabeth Hollywood.
Yes.
Chelsea Kesnick,
Yes.
Kaylee Norton,
Yes.
Cassie Reagan,
Yes.
Evan Singer.
Yes.
All right, next design committee report, Cassie.
Okay, the only thing that we have to bring before the board tonight is the approval of facade grant for 305 East Charles Street, which is the First Christian Church across the street. You guys probably remember that we've already done a loan facade grant for them this calendar year, but it is not this fiscal year. We did it the previous fiscal year, so this is okay. The committee reviewed it. They have all the information in here they needed, including a certificate of appropriateness from Historic Commission. And so we recommended bringing it to the board for approval. The first one we did was they went through and refurbished doors. This one is for the glass and windows throughout the property. So they had some IDA damage. Some of this is IDA and some of this might not be IDA, but they are kind of systematically going through their campus over there and really making some great improvements. And it is a historic building in Hammond, so.
And it's a John Desmond building,
It
right,
is a
Cassie?
Desmond,
Yeah,
yes.
so we want
Yeah.
to certainly encourage them to upkeep as much as they can. I'll make the motion to approve the facade grant.
I'll second.
Todd DeLon, John Exnicius.
Yes.
Elizabeth Hollywood.
Yes.
Chelsea Kesnick.
Yes.
Kaylee Norton.
Yes.
Cassie Reagan.
Yes.
Evan Singer.
Yes.
All right, next up, the merchant meeting feedback. John.
So we did host a merchant meeting today, earlier this morning at TMA. We had quite a few business owners come, in addition to Kaylee and Chelsea were there. We basically kind of covered a recap of Hot August Stroll, and then we talked about our upcoming events for the fall. In your packet, you do have a summary of the survey responses that we've gotten to date for the feedback survey. And generally, I mean, we just kind of open the floor to kind of have the merchants tell us their thoughts about the event, what worked, what didn't work. Chief Bergeron was also there, so he kind of gave, more of the logistics back in planning that we are kind of involved in on the day-to-day with trying to get an event of that scale safe and, online. So I'm not gonna go over the survey results too much. You can kind of read those, but I think overall, there were a few merchants that were at the meeting that kind of preferred the Friday setup. I think by and large, some of our bars and restaurants would prefer the Friday setup, but I think the all-day Saturday format works for more of our merchants. Obviously, it is hot, so given that it's an event in August, and if we're trying to benefit our merchants for this event, the Saturday setup kind of works out a little bit better, but we can't really control the weather. So if we want to continue hosting an event in August, just trying to make it as comfortable as possible. We did not host any activities in the hottest part of the day from noon to 3. The idea was people would go to our restaurants, sit in the air conditioning, go to our shops, and then we hosted activities in the morning and in the evening. So there's a few logistical tweaks, I think, on our end that we'll have to do just in terms of timing, and evidently a brass band was a little bit too adventurous for the Hammond Tangipahoa crowd. So with having a main stage act, maybe doing something a little bit more palatable, but general feedback we get all the time kind of about, not everyone likes the same thing. So, but overall, I think with all the variables that we were kind of working to improve on last year, it seems like, on our end, it was logistically a fuller day for us. So it was a lot of work for us that day of, but it seemed to work out in the best way I think that it could have, with addressing some of the concerns from last year. So I'll just kind of leave it there. If you're looking at the survey, if you have any questions or.
Where would, that 12 to 3 time when it was kind of dead? I mean, not dead, but we weren't hosting anything. What was did they comment on the activity in the restaurants? Was it up? Or did it feel busier?
I can kind of add in on that. So we were pretty steady all day long up until the pep rally, which actually worked out perfect for us because it kind of gave our staff time to regroup and get ready for the night shift. So from my perspective, I think it worked out great. We did have some feedback though, just kind of, talking about Hot August and then also Starry November. Some people had commented saying it might make sense for Hot August to be more restaurant driven, in the evening, and then Starry November be more merchant driven during the day, just because of the weather. So I thought that was an interesting comment.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think another takeaway, at least for me, because this was my first merchant meeting, is that it's very hard to appease the merchants and the restaurants at the same time.
Yeah.
So I kind of liked that as well, that direction, with Hot August being more geared towards the restaurants, and then Starry November with it being holiday season towards the merchants.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true too.
So in that gearing, what does that mean? Does that mean not have it all day? Or does that mean?
Yeah, I think feedback was for Hot August to do more in the evening. They liked the Saturday, meaning restaurants. Restaurants didn't really care either way. They liked the Saturday option because you could still start the wine walk earlier, but maybe not as early. I think that was another thing we talked about too. So still do that portion, but only do activities in the evening.
That makes we had a fair turnout for the kids zone, honestly, but it was very hot.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
think in
and
November
Haley
it
brought
might
that up,
be,
too.
yeah, it might be more. We might get a much, considering we still got a fair amount of kids
Yeah.
out there and families out there. I think it might be much more well attended in November.
Yeah.
And we did discuss, maybe making them family-oriented activities for Starry
Earlier.
November, being kind of tailing on the farmer's market.
Mm-hmm.
And then there'd be a break for parents to go home.
Yeah.
Bring the kids home, and then come back out.
Yeah.
So parents aren't torn.
that all sounds good. I think what we've been trying to say for a long time is that the old Hot August was not a merchant event, period. And I don't think that we were wanting to make it that. I think we were just wanting to not lose business on a Friday because you lose all the parking. Because just like restaurants and bars, Fridays are bigger.
Yeah.
Fridays and Saturdays are bigger for retail usually than, your Monday through Thursday. So, and I really don't think that there were that many events. I don't think there were any events that drove anybody. We were busy. We were busy all day from the minute we opened until we stayed open until 4 because we've been closing at 2. We were busy the whole time, which was great. So, but I think you're still gonna have that. I think you're still gonna have merchants
Yeah.
open when you have, the day of, and it may increase business just because people know they're coming to Hammond. But,
Well, and if we would still do the farmer's market. So like people would still be out for that and,
yeah, so I don't really see that there's any, you're not deleting anything that's feeding business to retail, as far as I can tell, unless I'm missing something.
Well, I think, basically, we market it as a full day of promotions, a full day of events. And I think some people took that literally, that they're supposed to be in downtown Hammond all day. And I mean, our opinion is that people would kind of pick and choose. They can go to the market and then go to a shop and then go to lunch and come back for the evening stuff if they want. So I think maybe in some of the messaging, the assumption is not that someone's not going to be in downtown from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. if they don't want to be. So I think that was maybe just a little bit unclear to some of the business owners or the public or what have you. But what works about the Saturday event is that, we do all these other activities, we bring people into town, but that gives our retail folks an opportunity to host other things during that intervening time. So I know that the bars and restaurants are kind of thinking, well, if the event is from 5 to 9 on a Friday or Saturday, if it's going to be on a Saturday, we wouldn't want to eliminate the, promotion for those daytime activities. And I mean, I know that there was some feedback this morning about kind of keeping it as a nighttime event, but if we're going to keep it on a Saturday, I think it just naturally makes sense to do a full day of promotions. And I mean, people definitely caught on. I would hope that no one was like, this event is 12 hours long and I'm doing the whole thing. So I think it's maybe just improving some of the messaging of like, pick and choose your downtown Hammond itinerary for the day of Hot August. And I mean, by all accounts, we did luck up with the weather with some overcast coming through and it sprinkling a little bit and kind of cooling things down. But I mean, we're always going to run into that being a challenge if we're hosting an event in August. So, yeah, I mean, I think if we're sticking to the Saturday scope, then it makes sense to include all of our merchants, restaurants, bars, retail. what
I
have
think
you.
make it a food and music night event. Most of the people who came in the store on that Saturday didn't know the event was going on. Most people were like, what's going on? Why are there so many police? I had people like freaking out, getting ready to get in their car and leave because they didn't know why there were so many police in downtown Hammond. They had no idea there was an event going on. So make it a nighttime event for Hot August. And if we want to promote things during the day, then we can. But I know most of the people who came to my store that day did not come because it was Hot August. They came because it was Saturday and they were ready to shop.
Okay.
That was my we told a lot of people all day long what was going on.
Well, that would probably help the expense overall.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
With that said, though, I don't think we need because I know we worked hard on like the messaging and like, the title of the event. I think it could still be Hot August Stroll.
Totally.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have some questions, but, just Because we hosted music earlier in the day. I mean, obviously, we can talk more about the logistics, but I'm just kind of thinking about what next year would look like if we would stick to a Saturday. I mean, I know that everyone wants a date sooner rather than later. Not saying that we have to like publish a save the date for Hot August 2024, but kind of thinking about that sooner rather than later.
Can we start advertising like today, that before, 30 minutes before our next meeting or 45 minutes before our next meeting, we'll have a public session, isn't that what we call it? Where anybody who wants to give feedback for Hot August 2024 can come and talk about it. Because you may not, it sounds like there's not that many people that filled out the survey. You might have.
Yeah, it was a little low response.
Just if somebody has a strong opinion about it, let them come in, and we've got time. We don't have to set a date today, and we don't have to decide exactly what the event is for next year, right?
No, I think the Friday or Saturday situation is kind of, sooner rather than later. Not today, but at least by sometime before the new calendar year starts.
Yeah, but I think if we're gonna very much focus it on bars and restaurants, that's where we need to get the feedback, is what night do they want to do it? Friday's better for y'all, because then you don't have to work all day on Saturday, right?
Yes.
But wasn't the whole reason, I'm so confused, I guess. I thought the whole reason we did the Saturday is to help the merchants out with the parking on Friday.
That,
So that-
but
so that it
also,
doesn't affect them, maybe it's.
As long as
But
we
it's
don't close the
safety,
parking
too.
malls,
Yeah.
as long as we don't close, so last year, all of the parallel parking on Thomas was closed and every parking mall was closed. There might have been one that was open, but there was only one. So there was no parking. So the restaurants by me, we were very upset because, I mean, I had so many people call and say, I was coming to shop today, but I rode around the block 12 times and there was never a parking space. So I'll come next week.
All right, so the cure was to do Saturday, right?
well, we didn't
Well,
close
parking.
Tom,
You can
well,
still
we-
do it on Friday and not close the parking malls.
Yeah.
There were a lot of factors that changed.
Sure.
so-
Yeah.
Right.
Closing
I
the
think
parking malls was one of the biggest things
that
last
was
year.
the biggest, and then also making it safer. So moving it to a Saturday so we could start earlier. So that's still, if we keep it on Saturday, we still have that option to start earlier. But maybe not at 12 or
12, right.
whatever, yeah.
So and when they also moved activities onto Charles, and we moved the main stage into Kate Square Park, so that eliminated the need to close down the parking malls. And the thought with that shift too was to direct more of the foot traffic off of, or to kind of have people like go
Well,
around in
not as much
downtown.
We had music everywhere, like, I feel like there was a lot more spread out of everything, the way that
Yeah,
was,
it was.
you know, I mean.
I know the businesses on Charles, or some of the businesses on Charles Street were thrilled to have that
Yeah.
influx of
yeah.
people, because
Yeah.
normally people wouldn't walk over there. I think that was a great idea.
It was.
And Chief Bergeron did mention this morning that closing Cypress would be a lot logistically easier. So perhaps if we kept the main stage at Cape Park and did like one other stage, one Cypress, which a few years ago we did that.
Yeah, we have put the main stage in Morrison Alley before. And that kind of like, well, basically the thought of doing that whole stretch of Charles was so that those businesses that are on the 200 block of Charles, it was activity kind of all centered over there. And so whenever we've closed Cypress in the past, that stretch of Charles doesn't get any foot traffic. And so that's kind of what Christina was saying earlier about, now that there's more activity on that side, we don't necessarily want to, I guess personally for me, if we do make a switch like that, I would just want to make sure that we're keeping that in mind, that foot traffic is basically going to stay on Cypress. It's not going to go to Charles.
What if, so where they do the Brews and Arts Festival, could we put the second stage in that parking lot? Because that would be
Yeah.
a
Morrison-
very
yeah, it's
nice
Morrison
little
Alley.
positive.
Yeah, that's where we put it
Okay,
before.
okay.
And Sizing and space-wise, like, I'm not totally, like, I'm trying to remember right now, it was in 2019 when we put it there. So it's possible. I just think it's a matter of trying to ensure that those folks that are on Charles are kind of included. Because we had a lot of participation this year, wouldn't necessarily.
I'll say, Seal and Ross did mention, Nicole Dillon mentioned that they would be happy to have another stage on there, or even a bigger musical act on that
Yeah.
area. I mean, they might, in the next year, they might, construct something, but they were happy to, I mean, that'd be a good space too.
It might be cool to try to get, I know First Christian Church is trying to do a lot of different stuff. So maybe there's venues that want to host different
That would be cool,
musical
actually,
things.
yeah.
So it gets you points that people are walking to hear music, to different kinds of music, then you really kind of make it a music and food.
Yeah.
Didn't we talk something about Columbia?
We did, yeah. So they would be interested in doing something like that. So depending upon, I mean, we've always done an larger outdoor stage, but if we wanted to switch kind of to, I mean, it's also indoors, so it'd be air conditioned.
Right.
That would be helpful. They would be interested in working on an offering as well, because they initially actually had the Eat a Peach tribute scheduled for Hot August, and they wind up moving it because they felt like it was going to compete. But we can work on that if that's
Well, let me
direction.
ask you this, and this might be weird, but would it make sense for that gap time for Columbia to have some type of really cool event during that gap that brings people inside into cool whatever, and then when they come out, then it's time to go drink and have fun? Like, would that be it?
It's an option, yeah. I mean, they usually participate as a wine and cheese stop too. So they're like, in terms of their capacity, I think they usually just focus on that. But we can look at some other options.
Maybe have some kind of cool music show or something.
Yeah.
that's,
This is like total departure, but what if we shift gears and let people go to events at places instead of just getting wine and cheese, and then they get their drinks and they get their food we've got tons of bars and restaurants. So they go to the art center for an art show. They go to the Columbia for
Yeah, it's kind of
a
like
performance or something. So
North
you make
Shore
it,
Arts in Bloom, like kind of how
Yeah.
they do it.
excuse me. Yeah, a mini fanfare. We used to have fanfare.
Yeah.
That way you can bring art back into it, you can bring music back into it. And if you don't do the wine stroll, you don't buy the bands, it's not people just coming to spend $30 for a specific reason. I mean, does it make sense to shift that? Or is that what gets the people down there? And is that the people that you want to participate in the event?
Well, I think,
Those are just questions.
yeah.
I'm not,
I guess some particular feedback about the wine and cheese stroll. We partnered with the Art Center this year. They actually did send us a letter thanking us for the partnership. I can pass that around if you all would like to read that. But the feedback of participating wine and cheese stops, I know that John and Chelsea, y'all were a cheese stop. Everyone, merchant-wise, I think really appreciated the crowd that did purchase tickets this year. The timing kind of helped too, but I think total was around 450 tickets that were sold. So it's definitely something that people are looking forward to doing. Whether it's the wine and cheese or it's the opportunity to go and look at businesses. I mean, kind of whatever strength is there, kind of honing in on that with however we adapt it. But they appreciated it ending earlier so that the reckless crowd that is already going to be in downtown after our event ends kind of was not in the businesses. They went to the bars that were open late or some of the restaurants that were open late. Just some kind of feedback on that one.
and those are just thoughts, if you want to make it something different, really make it something different.
My concern would be with changing the format again, would be that we just kind of lose everybody entirely to some degree. If we keep changing it, where people just kind of don't know what's going on anymore.
And that's money, right? You're making money off of the wine and cheese, right? That's one of our revenues.
No, we
Also-
gave it to the
No,
art.
It's the art center now,
Center.
but yeah.
This year, it was basically that component we basically stripped the money-making components of the event. So they kept the revenue as a part of that. I think they've raised somewhere 10 to 15,000 for their purpose, for their organization. We did get some sponsorships, but and we did not sell vendor spots, and we did not sell food truck spots. So those were the 3 revenue sources for the event. We did not have those this year. So I did include a budget breakdown of the event, and I mean, you'll see that it's in the negative. You know, I was hoping that we would get some of those annual partnerships on board before Hot August. It looks like the 2 that I've kind of been working with, we're going to be taking a look at those later this fall and have everything kind of starting effective next calendar year. But, you know, this was our first largest event, and we already have some sponsorships lined up for Starry. But as we kind of do that planning, and you can see the expenses that we incurred this year, some of it was a little bit over budget because we had some changes that we made that weren't really anticipated. But overall, I mean, you can kind of see we wound up spending around $15,000 on the event. There is overtime for the police officers that are coordinating the event, and that's around $21,000 that the city of Hammond pays for. We did get some in-kind sponsorships, which really helped us out. No, it's not money, but it's items that we would have had to pay for otherwise. So this may not be what you want to see as a part of the picture of the event, but this is what it looked like this year.
Where is that in our packet?
It's behind the feedback survey.
I didn't get that.
I can give you a copy. It's behind the facade grant.
See behind, I have this page, but I don't have this.
Just to add, I think it was, you know, it's heading in the right direction. I think just refining it would make,
Yeah, we knew this was gonna be an experimental year.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like any of the feedback this morning was overly negative in one direction, so it just was tweaks to what we
Sure.
are doing.
Mhm.
So going forward, you know, are we wanting to bring back having people pay for their vendor spots? I mean, how much money was lost, I think, from that?
Well, we did have to-go food and drinks, and most of them were in district businesses. So we have sold vendor spots for $125, but that was like basically anyone could come and set up. So we did not do that this year. So we usually don't charge our in-district merchants for anything. It's a benefit to them to set up. So we can look at, I guess, revenue options, but I think as we look at that, we just need to know that
What the
if,
parameters are
Right.
around it.
Mm-hmm. And I will say, I know one of the reasons that we wanted to partner with the Art Center was because we wanted to save some of the staff time, because, you know, that doesn't take into account all the time that you guys spend doing that, and free you up to do some other things and to focus on other things as well, and not spend all of your time,
yeah.
you know.
So I will say, since we did not have to do, you know, I guess, focus too much on the ticket sales and the wine and cheese stroll, I was able to go to most of our businesses in the district and tell them about the event, let them know what was kind of going on, and see if they had the ability to participate. So I think that was a good step in the right direction too, of just kind of letting, I mean, Hot August was like the open door to just kind of keep improving communication as the
Yeah.
time goes on. So I think we had a lot of business participation, even if they weren't a wine and cheese stroll stop, or like participate in the evening activities. Everyone kind of picked and chose what they wanted to do, and we tried to make sure that those opportunities were available to our in-district businesses. And that took a lot of time and in-person, face-to-face visits of folks outside of downtown in particular, and particularly trying to get some of those to-go food options to see what our restaurants could do. You know, that was a lot of the
Well,
time.
it's probably helped too, aspect of the regional arts was probably because they were teeing up matching artists with businesses so that they actually had something to display other than, like to
Yeah.
have like an event, like they
Yeah.
could coordinate that a little bit more. 'Cause, I mean, it seemed like there was a lot of that, more than usual, right?
Yeah, we had
I mean,
at least 15 artists paired with businesses, and I think
Yeah.
last year we didn't have very many. So we kind of trying to bring that back incrementally, and it would be really cool if we had some like outdoor art installations and kind of just honing in more into the art component. So building on our partnership with the Art Center, I think is an option. So yeah, we can, all good discussion and kind of like food for thought as we move into 2024.
$2,500 to bring that business and those people to, so the businesses can make a profit rather than, I mean, that's kind of the whole focus rather than, it's not supposed to be a moneymaker anyway. So as a marketing expense, $2,500 to bring how many extra people to spend their money downtown.
Yeah.
Isn't that the whole?
No, yeah,
that's a
it's
good
not a
point.
lot to be
Yeah.
Right.
negative on.
Yeah.
Well, I guess technically in the budget, I mean, we budgeted this year for about 10,000, so you're kind of looking at a $12,000 expense. But either way, I mean, if the benefit is there to our businesses and that's really the purpose of the event, then so be it.
well, it was almost breaking, that's almost right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that, yeah.
Well, and I think too, like I said, as we kind of get those, we did add on at one-time sponsorship, so we've got some people lined up for Starry. I think like when we look at the totality of like our end-of-year performance, it will more than likely shake out, and I'll keep y'all updated with that, but good point, Amanda. Appreciate that.
All right, anybody else? Are we ready to go on to the next? All right, next deal is the Homecoming Railroad Roar, October 10th.
Yes, so I just kind of want to put this on your radar. We're partnering with Tangibo Chamber and Southeastern Alumni Association again this year for Railroad Roar. This is, as we say, the biggest lineup Tuesday. And we are excited to bring some music into the Railroad Park for Railroad Roar that evening. It's on, like I said, Tuesday, October 10th. And we host, we get our businesses involved to host sales and specials if they would like, encouraging everyone to wear green and gold. And we do have the website live, as you can kind of see here. And we have the storefront spirit contest as well for businesses that would like to sign up. And we'll be raffling away some advertising opportunities, and that is donated in part by the Tangibo Chamber and our advertising budget. So if you own a business in town and want to participate, then be sure to check this out. And if you are Southeastern alumni or otherwise, come on to Railroad Park on the 10th, and we'll have a nice green and gold celebration. It was fun last year. So.
I just want to say, I think that that is a great, prize setup for the businesses. Like, it's really the DDD directly doing their mission,
Yeah.
serving the businesses, so with marketing and stuff, so I love it.
Yeah. Well, last year we did first, second, and third place prizes, and just to try to make it a little bit more inclusive, we decided to kind of split it up and do a raffle. So anyone who decorates their business, their storefront, we'll put it into a raffle and then provide those opportunities to them. And we are trying to we're basically trying to work towards the 100th year celebration for Southeastern. They'll be celebrating 100 years in 2025, which I know sounds like a long way away, but we're going to keep on this kind of partnership with the university and Southeastern so that we kind of build towards that larger celebration in a couple of years from now. So,
All right. Next thing, downtown trick or treat.
I'm just going to laugh.
We didn't get anywhere else.
No.
Nope.
We're back where we started.
We've been on a journey, as I think most everyone knows about this event. I think there's always a discussion about whether every year, whether we're doing it. I know that we have discussed this event numerous times in our board meetings over this past year. And where we last landed, I'm not going to go over all the details, but where we last landed was partnering more with the Louisiana Children's Discovery Center and working with them to basically co-host the event. Sat down with Will, and I mean, 3 of y'all are here with LCDC, so you can also speak too. But he was really concerned about the volume of people and the center being able to manage that exclusively. So we explored the idea of doing a trick-or-treat village of sorts in Kate Square Park, where the businesses would set up booths and be candy stops, and the center could still host additional activities and some music, and it would be in the park. At the merchant meeting today, we did talk about that setup for the event, and I guess there were a lot of mixed reviews.
I would say overall that got turned down.
So what are we
I would
trying
like to,
cure?
yeah, I want
I thought-
feedback on that. Like, nobody wanted, like, the idea of doing it at Kate
Well,
Square?
ultimately, and the feedback was not, and it wasn't wrong, it would end up being more work on the DVD and more work on the businesses to relocate there.
That's fair.
And crowded. Like, we were trying to remove the
And
crowd.
the other thing is, I think it's important that if people are walking around with their kids, they're seeing actually where the businesses are. There's an opportunity, like maybe
So
they're
that was
going,
also.
you know, like they're.
feedback.
What were the
They're
merchants'
experiencing.
feedback about hosting it though? Because it seems like it's a big burden on the, like,
So it was
because
kinda-
people
it
don't
was
come in,
kinda
they just get the candy and then they
It was
leave.
kinda
Merchants are
50-50.
about it,
Some people
yeah.
really love it, some people still
No,
don't.
not all merchants are about it.
The ones at the, let me
As a matter of
rephrase,
fact, at the
ones
last board
actually-
meeting, we said we were not doing it this year, and we asked if we needed to vote, so we didn't have to talk about this
We
again.
did vote.
And we were told we didn't have to vote, and now it's back again. So this is ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
We did talk about it at the last meeting in detail. And now I was, all for, because again, it aligns with the Louisiana Children's Discovery Center to co-host it and do it at Kate Square, but if I
don't
get
have
it,
a
the
prob-
merchants
No, I
wanna
don't
do
have
that,
a
yeah,
problem
that's
with
fine.
that.
Yeah.
I think that's fine.
I'm just wondering what we're trying to cure here, if there's no, if it,
So the feedback from last year's trick or treat was that the streets were packed. It was really, families and parents felt really unsafe. And so if we keep with the business,
was that feedback from us being concerned that they could, or was there actually people saying?
direct parent.
Yeah,
feedback.
I will say that I personally.
I've
felt
witnessed
that way.
parents
did
grabbing
not
their
enjoy it.
children,
Yeah, it's,
one under each arm, and saying, that, like terrified. I saw a child almost get pushed in the street because there were so many people on the sidewalk. It
You
wasn't that
couldn't
anybody
move.
was being ugly, it was just there were too
many-
many
many
people
congested.
in
That it
downtown.
was like 10 people deep. in
Right.
some
Yes.
spots.
Okay.
it's just, yeah.
Okay, so that's one, that's the main thing is that, and then the other thing I think was people not wanting to have to pay for tons of candy because it just gets taken.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It goes
I
quick.
mean,
Good return on investment for some businesses.
Yeah, so my thoughts on the return on investment part, me personally, is if they really don't feel like it's a good return, they won't participate. We have a lot of
That's exactly right.
But I
we have a lot of
guess,
participation still.
yeah. The other thing too, though, is because it's so congested, people who just want to go eat at a restaurant, they can't
Can't
get
get to the
in.
restaurant.
There's
yeah.
no parking,
Yeah.
there's no, so
It's really spending money.
So restaurants
right.
were saying people couldn't come park and come eat that night, and the people that were down there had strollers with kids, and they were coming to do the candy, they weren't coming to eat or buy anything, so why are we doing it?
Can I comment?
Yeah.
So most of y'all don't know me, my name's Leanne Miller, I own the Wooden Grove Renew. But I feel like just my experience as a mom, and my girls work with me, they're 8 and 5, the trick or treat is kind of an event for the kids. The parents get the wine walks, and they get all this music, and they get all these things. But what do the kids get in the community? They need one night, even just a few hours, to get to come trick or treat. And if it's a little bit of money on your business, you'll have to kind of maybe don't do the candy, or try to get somebody to like sponsor your candy or something like that. Like, not that I'm new, I'm not that experienced in business, but I feel like the kids need their, small time too. And I think there's ways you can get sponsorships for money if you need to. If you can't make that work
Yeah.
for your budget, or different things.
I don't know if it's that necessarily. I have kids too. I have a 10-year-old, 7-year-old, and a baby. And I did try to go as like, a citizen of downtown Hammond, and I got frustrated and like left because
Yeah.
I couldn't go anywhere.
We went, my husband, we loved it, but we also, we kind of stuck our time, we kind of avoided the crowd. Maybe if we extended the hours out, so it
Well-
wasn't just the 3 hours maybe.
And I'm sorry, okay. That's my thought is that it's a good problem that we have so many people.
Yeah.
Let's fix how we navigate it. not
Well,
get rid of the-
okay, a solution that we did come up with, because we did talk about a solution, stick with the trick or treat village in the park, but then also have businesses participate if they wanted. So they're traveling through downtown and then there's the village in the park. So then maybe that would help, I don't know, but that was an idea.
Well, for one, what about blocking off the street better for kids? That's probably one of the things that I would be most,
Yeah.
So Chief Bergeron is a big fan of the trick or treat event, and he he said that he will do whatever needs to be done to have the event be safe. Now, I think I need like a firm commitment of what that looks like, but if businesses are the stops, then the safest way to host it is closing down the parking, and that logistically will not fly. So,
But it is on a
Wednesday.
Wednesday and it is in the evening.
But it,
So-
I mean, if you're closing down the parking on Thomas, which, like I said, we should not do.
You have to close it all day. You have to
Yeah.
close it the
All
night
day,
before.
okay, what about changing it to like I mean, I don't know when days fall, I'm just throwing crap out in my head, but Monday when half the restaurants are closed anyway, like.
So the Hammond Rec Department is doing a trunk or treat at the Rec Department on Coleman Street that day. There are like probably 4 or 5 other trick or treats lined up that week alone.
What if
Which
we
is
use
why
our
we-
DDD resources to promote everyone else's trick or treating.
Because that's kind of why we said get rid of it,
Yeah.
because there was just so much to
Yeah.
do already.
And wasn't it, again, the last event when people were ranking the events?
It was.
It was,
It
it
was.
was
The
a
last
lot
one.
of feedback
Yeah.
that it was the least important.
Yeah.
I will say though that, I mean, there are several businesses that are looking forward to doing it.
Yeah, some people were very strongly opinionated for it this morning, so we left with no
Can't they just
consensus.
add it and promote it themselves?
Or I mean, again, like if we know who those are and we partner with the Louisiana Children's Discovery Center, maybe we can work out something where we have like a trick or treat map and you go,
Well, that's
we
my,
host it and
that's
like,
my
and we
thinking
go to
is, like,
business to business.
if there's a net benefit to the Discovery Center of having a co-hosted event with DDD, because I mean, it's a huge captive audience for LCDC, in my opinion. So if we nix the Kate Square Park idea and say, okay, businesses, if you do want to be a trick or treat stop, you know the drill, you know what you're signing up for. And we can, I mean, the possibility of maybe using the parking lot and having more activities at the center would be an option. So that's like the start or like
Or-
stop one.
We could do
So,
2
what if
villages.
We get some very inexpensive printed trick or treat bags that they have to pick up from the Discovery Center. So that's like the point, they have to go there and see it, and then they get a map with the businesses that are participating.
I don't know if they,
Still
if the volume's like it has been in the past, they can't handle it.
Yeah.
They'd have to have
That's a good
like
point.
tables all down the sidewalk and, I don't know how many kids were downtown last year, but
was a
it was insane. Yeah.
I mean,
Why
I
don't
don't
we-
have kids, but I love it.
And so Leanne,
That's why you love it.
Yeah, right.
No, but I'm just like, it brings everybody, it brings all the families out, and like, I like the feel of that.
Can-
in
They
town.
can participate for like the morning walks, they get to participate in this.
Well, I had a
sorry
thought.
for families,
Yeah,
too.
I had a thought too. I didn't voice this earlier, but what if I don't know what night downtown Hammond does trick or treating, like in the neighborhoods. What if we just do that the same night? Like, would that
Halloween
be too
night.
much?
It's Halloween night.
No.
Yeah.
And then different neighborhoods sometimes do separate.
Different, yeah.
Plus the people on Apple. Like Chapel Hill is having something.
Yeah.
Something.
I mean, there's stuff all over all the
Yeah.
time.
Just manage it.
Yeah.
I need a decision.
I mean, my vote would be if there are businesses that are really interested in it, let us refer them to the Discovery Center. Like, I will take the lead on meeting with them and seeing if we can do something together, but that the DDD does not take this on. Again, like we've talked about multiple times in the last meetings. That would just be that's my thought.
So exclusively promoted by,
The Discovery Center.
like, we would just say, hey, everyone, the Discovery Center is.
Perhaps depending on the volume of businesses that are actually interested. And yes, it would be, again, it would be something probably that would be just promoted by the Discovery Center. So.
Well, okay, so staffing and the number of people is a concern. And certain businesses wouldn't prefer to participate because they're spending money on candy and blah, blah, blah. Okay, what if the ones that don't want to participate volunteer their time to check kids in and help there, and then they're done after 30 minutes or whatever? Like, I don't know, maybe that's.
An option.
So I'm gonna close my store and send all my employees over to the Discovery Center to help pass out stuff.
No, it just would be.
I'm just trying to follow.
No, like if you don't want to spend $200 to $1,000 on candy, but you would like to participate, you don't have to. If you would like to participate, you could help.
The candy situation, like I said, if they really didn't want to spend it, they wouldn't be participating. They're participating. They know what they have to
Some
do.
businesses, it's perfect.
If they don't want to do it, they don't do it. But there's plenty of them that are doing it. So that's not, I don't even think, a problem. But I think the main thing that I think is the main concern is safety and manageability of kids running the street. I mean, I think that's and the closing of the time for certain businesses, right? So as far as the closing of the time, I mean, it's a small window one day, and I don't know what that, I'm not a vendor who sells things, but it's converging tons of people that are seeing your business
And those
and where you
people
are.
are not spending money for those.
Maybe not that moment, but they might be coming back. We have no measure of that. I'm asking
I
you.
respectfully disagree.
Okay.
There is such a small percentage of these people that are on the streets at that time who are gonna come back. They're
Yep.
gonna come back anyway. It's not the people that are bringing, that's coming because of trick or
I think it's such a blur, they don't even see the
Well,
business.
Yeah, they probably don't. Yeah.
They stay away because of it, because they can't.
You can't get in, yeah. No,
I mean, but
yeah.
some businesses, it's great, and let them do it, but you don't need a influx of kids getting hit and the police are doing, I mean, it's
Well,
a tough situation.
yeah.
Again, I thought we weren't months ago, this wasn't even.
Well, and I guess too, like, we schedule live music every Wednesday through Sunday. Like, we are stacked on music. So I'm looking at the date, and now I'm like, do I need to cancel my band because people aren't going to get to my business to listen to the band that I'm paying for people to come here?
So I have another thought. So the businesses that I know that are like really enthusiastic, Realty executives, they bring out a cotton candy machine, a face painter, a whole 9 yards. They're right across the street from LCDC. W Salon really wants to do it. Tacos and beer evidently does.
You've always done it. I mean,
So maybe it's
Nortec,
on
yeah.
Cypress. I mean, if that, we just kind of focused everyone there, and, because I think some of the feedback about it being in Kate Square Park was that it's a lot of people to kind of load in, but if there's only like a few vendor spots that have to be set up, that could be an option. But at the same time, that's all logistics, and that's more planning that has to go into this event. So I think what I know is that there are maybe equal amount of people who want to have it and don't want to have it. Don't necessarily want to take away something that people are looking forward to, businesses in particular. And so I guess if LCDC was committed to doing it, then that's an option, but I don't know if that's an option.
I mean, this is not going to be decided here. I mean, I'm just saying, I think as DDD hat, we need to get rid of it. LCDC hat, I think it's something that we could do. It'd have to be at another meeting where we talk to the businesses that are interested in it.
Right, or it gets tabled by the DDD.
Yeah.
And then LCDC then takes it on as a totally separate
That's
entity.
what I'm saying, yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, well, that,
And
yeah.
I could agree with that.
Okay. Well, I guess we will convene after and discuss.
All right,
Lots of tickets.
sorry, Saturday.
Okay, so we are, let's see, I don't have one in my packet. We are in the process of planning for Starry Saturday. One item that, we are trying to work towards, is, well, there's a large game the Friday before the event. So on November 17th, Southeastern and LSU women's basketball teams are playing against each other at the University Center. So like Tange Road Chamber and tourism are like, that's probably gonna be a pretty big day for Hammond. And there's gonna be a lot of people that may want to stay in town, so we can kind of piggyback on that. And since we're already hosting Starry Saturday, the day after on November 18th, I think we're trying to prepare ourselves, I guess, for all those things. We are in the process of kind of coming up with some of the branding, and we are working with, we usually have a graphic design intern. So you've got some examples in there that you can kind of see of where we are with it. It's very, very rough right now. Last year when we kind of put together the poster and the marketing, it was not holiday, and so we're kind of trying to balance the holiday look versus a non-holiday look. We've decided to keep Starry Saturday as the name in the event that we would move it to December, because we did call it Starry November Day and Night last year, which didn't exactly roll off the tongue. So we switched it to Starry Saturday when we had to move a portion of the event into December. So that's just some of that background information there. And then you can kind of see a run of show schedule that we have, which is very similar to what we did last year. Still partnering with Rotary for a movie Under the Stars, and you know, kind of honing in on kicking off holiday shopping in downtown for that event. Like I said, it's very rough right now, but hopefully when we get past kind of some of this preliminary planning phase for trick or treat and homecoming, we'll be able to focus a little bit more on there. But I do have the goal of kind of launching everything by the end of September, so that gives about a 8-week, 6 to 7 week lead time.
Will the DDD be hosting this wine walk, or will it be the?
So we will.
Okay.
Yes. They are kind of, the art center is a little bit spread thin, but they will still assist with artists and whatnot, depending on what we want to do. And I'd like to kind of theme it a little bit so that it's a little more holiday and make it a little bit more special, but yes. It's smaller, and we do have 200 cups left over from last year that have the DDD logo on them. So we can limit it to make it a bit smaller and a little bit more curated too. So it'll be a little bit, not as large as Hot August. It usually isn't as large.
I'm looking at the time for movie Under the Stars. These are just rough times, but what would we be doing up until dark?
So something I'm trying to figure out right now is the
Okay.
times. It's been a little bit of a challenge with partnering with Rotary. Their activities are basically from 3 to 8. The movie doesn't start until 6. So they do additional activities in Kate Square Park for that 3 to 6 range. And they bring in, you know, inflatables and
Okay.
other kids' activities. But at the same time, the movie is Christmas Vacation this year, so I'm not too sure about like the target audience for the event. Last year was pretty clear it was families and kids because it was Polar Express. So we're trying to figure those things out. But with the timings, I think, you know, the idea was maybe not everyone will want to do a movie in the park, and they said they have a pretty committed group of people who like go to every event that they do. So they want to partner with us, and they're fine with having some overlap of additional items. So that's kind of where we are right now. So like I said, there's still kind of some logistical stuff that needs to be figured out. But the like closures and parking closures and all the other kind of stuff, we wouldn't be doing the scale of Hot August. It would basically just be like in River Park or in Kate Square Park, and none of our activities would really permit any of those closures.
What about the train? Are we having the train?
Yes, so I did talk to Star Equipment, and they are available that day. So my next step is to talk to Chief Bergeron about the preferred route. And historically it has gone on Thomas, but he said it's never gone on Thomas, so we have to figure out a route. And it usually does go around Kate Square Park.
Right.
With it being lit up with holiday lights, and so we talked about that, if that was gonna be an issue with the movie, and anyway, we're trying to figure out all those things about what would make the most sense, but we do have this
overlap with the stroll too.
Yeah. So there's timing and logistics things need to be figured out. The good thing about the train is that it works best at night because the kids like to see the lights, so maybe we could try like a during the day train, but I don't know if that would give the same vibe that everyone's looking for. And then the city has committed to having River Park and Kate Square Park decorated with lighting for that event date. So they are working towards their full city lighting schedule, and we are going to be on it. Well, the parking malls, River Park and Kate Square Park for that date.
Does it make any sense at all to do the wine stroll or the cocktail stroll or whatever it is more during the day?
I was just
Because merchants close at 2, noon, 2, 4, somewhere in there. So if you want to make Starry more merchant-driven, then they're closed by the time the wine walk starts.
Well, and if we're trying to make it also more family oriented, what if we incorporated like an earlier thing for the wine and cheese stroll, but do like hot chocolate and cookies for the kids or something?
Yeah, I was trying to think about a different offering. The good thing about wine is that there's a lot of different types.
Yeah.
With trying to do something else, like, I mean, there's like 4 varieties, so would everyone be doing the same thing? So,
Give out Halloween candy.
thank you. That would definitely be a twist, for sure. So yeah, I think it still needs some tweaking, open to ideas and feedback.
If you're limiting it to 200, and, you know, you want to make it just a different focus, something, like you said, more curated to holiday, I don't know, maybe it would make sense to, I don't know, do it from noon to 2 or 11 to 2, I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there just to think about. There wouldn't be as many people coming in, so there's maybe not as much crowd control, theft control, that kind of thing with it during the day like that. Just more people who want to come out and kick off the holidays and have a few cocktails. I don't know.
I could also see people piggybacking off of the farmer's market and saying, hey, I'm gonna go drink
Now that
and
I'm
shop
here, yep.
downtown all day. And who doesn't love a boozy shopper? Well, sometimes you don't, but.
There you go.
So we usually do need to do like at least a 3-hour, that was some feedback from Hot August, is that it needs to be a little bit expanded just because there's so many people, but like a noon to 3. I guess for our bars and restaurants, well, for our restaurants though, that's like during lunchtime. Last year when we did this, it was from 3 to 6. And then, because the idea with that was for, I guess, bars and restaurants at that point in time was kind of, we were adding them onto it to do like a special sip and snack. So if we wanted to try to do a noon to 3, it just may be a little bit more, it would be more like retail focused, I guess, for the businesses that could do that.
Which is what we talked about too, yeah.
I think that sounds really. We went to Ocean Springs recently, and they had something like that going on during the day, where their businesses were open, and it was primarily geared towards the retail shops, and it worked really well over there. I mean, it wasn't like a wristband thing, but their
yeah.
crowd was a lot during the day.
People are still gonna go eat. Like, if they're coming out for an event like this, they're still gonna go.
I would think it would make the restaurants more consistent throughout the day.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're still in some formative thoughts, so if you have any additional ones, we'll be working on things a little bit more heavily next week. But that's kind of where we are right now.
Sounds good. Staff reports.
So we've got a little bit of a lengthy staff report in here. I'm not going to go over too much, but I just kind of want to focus on the project updates with the history exhibit project. That is basically in the production phase now. Everything's kind of in the fabricator's hands. We'll be getting a sample of the actual laminate panel before everything's fully printed, just to make sure the colors and everything work out. So I'll let everyone know when that's available if you want to come take a look at it in the office. We're finishing up our state reporting. That is due on the 24th because we did get a grant from the state to do this project. So hopefully late fall, early winter is when it will be installed, and would like to, have some sort of ceremony, dedication ceremony, unveiling ceremony to kind of celebrate the work that was done. The second round of benches will be installed. The date that I have is December 1st, so we'll see if that changes. And this is completing the 21 benches that were sold for the second round, and generally just trying to work with the city on some maintenance items related to the park. It's kind of been a little bit of a struggle, if I'm being honest, with getting the gate and fountain put back in order after it was taken out by a car crash late last year. And then the feature fountain that's in the courtyard area needs some maintenance and landscaping. And so I'm hoping to kind of have a really holistic conversation with a few of the department heads for the park and also downtown with some areas that need to be focused on. The welcome sign project has been tabled for quite some time. It is kind of picking back up. It's in the city's hands at this point in time to formalize the contract with the architect. So we're hoping to kind of pick everything back up in November. So I'll keep you all in the loop with that. We did budget for it this year, so we want to make sure that we're moving along with that. And then just to provide an update for the sidewalk reimbursement program, we approved it last meeting, or you all approved it last meeting. And Andre and Lacey are just giving their final review before we distribute it. It will be available on our website, and there are a few projects that we know that can benefit from it now, so I'll be doing some direct outreach related to it as well.
Great.
I guess, what time is it? Yeah. Okay. Well, you can kind of I can answer any questions you have about anything else related here, but we're trying to make sure our website's updated, getting some of our contracts for the billboards situated, planning holiday promotions, and Kaylee and I had a really good discussion earlier today about kind of doing a refresh of the front porch project with photos with business owners and her donating her time for that. So we'll be kind of discussing more of those plans as we kind of move forward. Professional development for me, one thing I will mention is that Bill with the Small Business Development Center called this week, and he said that there's a scholarship opportunity available for the first course for the Certified Economic Developer program. And so he was like, you'd be a perfect pick. And
I think that would be incredible if you do that, Michelle.
yes. So
Great.
even though I'm a
idea.
little bit hesitant about having the time to do it, I have agreed and will be partaking. And there's also a state Downtown Development District Authority Directors Roundtable in October, which I'm kind of excited about because we partner a lot with Main Street and we talk to a lot of Main Street managers, but we're kind of unique in that we're one of the only active well, we're one of the only downtown development district authorities that's formed by the state that exercises its taxing authority. And so other DDAs that are in the state, Shreveport has one, Lafayette, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, have one as well. So it would be a good opportunity to kind of get to know them and see what other DDAs are doing. And more or less, they're focused on harder economic development projects. So excited about that. Farmers Market, Savannah is on board. I don't know if any of you had a chance to meet her, but everything's going swimmingly. I'm like so glad that we have her as part of our team. And she's getting trained up on everything related to the market. John did ask about the bank account situation that we talked about last time, with trying to have a separate bank account for the market. And I guess the easiest way to say it is it's a little bit tabled. Laura, the accounting department head, she said that they are trying to see if we can do direct deposits with the city, which might eliminate some of the need to get a separate bank account, but I'll keep you all informed about that as we kind of move forward. Grow the Good update. SNAP program is going really great. We've got new vendors that we're adding on, and there will be a fall fest planned in coordination with the market on October 28th.
I have a question on
Yeah.
farmers market. A while ago, we had talked about increasing the vendor rental fee. Did we bring that back up again? I know we briefly touched on it.
Yeah. So we I think the best way to do this is to do a guideline revision. So I kind of put guideline revision in the works. There are several items with our guidelines that in general need to be updated. The last time it had an update was in 2018. And so there are a lot of things that kind of need to be tweaked. And I feel like the best way to kind of give the market just have it be structured in a fresh kind of way is to kind of loop everything in there. The rental fee hasn't changed since it was started in 2014. So I think what we offer to the vendors, the way the market has grown, I think the benefits that they have for participating in our market, it's kind of a two-way street, but I think that's kind of the best way to do that. And so we'll be working on that this fall and kind of rolling everything together. I can't make promises about the October meeting, but I'm hoping by our November meeting we'll be able to kind of get
To that point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Additional items, we will have, this is something that I'll be working on, but trying to make sure that we get out our board seat nominations for the seats that will open at the end of this year. Mayor appointed seat, chamber appointed seat, and the East Side Property business owner seat are all open for renomination. And I think we usually do it in November, but I'm just trying to work a little bit sooner with the city council schedule, just in case, anything kind of happens. Releasing everything mid-October. Also, so that way too, any of those people who are serving on those seats, if they continue or otherwise, it gives everyone some time to kind of figure out and fully know, who they want to appoint, or for the East Side property owner if they need to get their nominations. And then lastly, we'll be closed on Monday, October 9th. What's the question?
No, I was just wondering who the East Side is. Is that Evan or?
No, that's Todd.
John? Oh, it's Todd?
Yeah. So Todd was.
Oh, okay. Does he
finishing-
feel, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, he was finishing out a term.
Got it.
So yeah, those are the seats that we'll have, and that's basically everything. Well, there's probably other things, but that's all that I could fit on one page.
Michelle,
oh.
real quick, what's the sponsorship dynamic like? Like, in the beginning, I remember we talked about like North Oaks and maybe some smaller sponsors, but then we also mentioned sponsors for some of our events.
Yes.
What's that landscape like?
So we have basically a gold, silver, and a bronze level, and those are at, I think, 15, 10, and 5. I need to look at my email.
That
And then
sounds right.
Yeah, and then we added on the single event sponsorship opportunity, and we also added on a farmer's market sponsorship opportunity. So the single event is 1,000, and then the farmer's market is 500. And there's like different perks that are kind of in there. There are, North Oaks is eager to work with us. They just had some administrative kind of changes, and so we're kind of going to be talking a little bit more this fall about that. And then there's another interested private business that's not in the district that would be interested in looking a little bit more. And so I'll be kind of talking with them a little bit more closely. I really haven't had the time to do a lot of recruitment, I guess, related to that, but we do have 2 interested, and not sure what level they're thinking about, but they're definitely looking at one of those levels.
So have they been writing us checks or sponsorship? Like, have we been receiving money for that?
So we received 2 sponsorships for Hot August. Those are the one time. And we have 3 lined up we have 2 lined up for Starry. And then we have 1 for the farmer's market so far.
We
So
did have North Oaks for picnic, right? Didn't they do?
Yes,
Yeah.
that was basically earlier this year before we kind of implemented the annual
Okay.
partnership. And so the way that they pay us, I guess, is, since it's all only been the one-time sponsorships, is they pay us that bulk amount, the 1,000 or the 500, and we provide them the perks and kind of go from there.
And the money that you collect, does it go to a special, I guess I didn't see it in our financial.
Yeah, so they have paid with check, and then if they pay with the check, it is usually coded quicker than if they pay through Clover. So the miscellaneous revenue is going to be where we'll see those sponsorships reflected. It depends on how they code it. Sometimes it goes to our promotions account, which is promotional fees, or it goes to miscellaneous revenues. I'm trying to get it so it's kind of all squared away. The coding for Clover, if they pay with a credit card or through our BigCommerce e-commerce platform, they code that manually. So it will either be in one of those accounts.
So when it's going towards an event, I won't get too in the weeds, but I guess we talked about the expense of Hot August nights.
Yeah.
I guess if someone is making, would it reduce those expenses, or would?
I think it's on that.
Yeah, so, I mean,
Yeah.
our accounting, like, these financial reports will not necessarily reflect the, like, breakdown of a single event, which is kind of why I did that breakdown of the budget.
Right.
But, yes, I mean, we would, if it's a one-time sponsorship, those 2 were applied to that revenue.
I don't know. That's why. And then last, I guess downtown business outreach. How's that like? Are you all still like picking businesses to visit with? I don't know what-
Yeah, I think we did a lot of it with Hot August, and kind of like collected about a lot of updated contact info and just kind of getting everyone, our database kind of updated on the same page. So right now, I guess with event season, like most of our outreach is based around the events and seeing what they're going to be doing. And as we get our loan program a little bit more online and, the other opportunities that we have, we can make time to do that.
Thank you.
All right, anything else?
Anything else?
Anybody, any comments from the public?